Following my last video about the trailer to the upcoming movie Midway, I rewatched it a few times and there were a few things that I had missed, so I thought I would just go over those. One real quick thing was the SBD on the poster looked a little bit off. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, and then I realized that they had to shorten the nose of the airplane to make it fit inside the poster the way they wanted, so they cropped it off and then remade it. I thought something looked wrong about that. Not a big deal. Okay, so here we are back at the trailer again, and we already discussed all that stuff, so let's go on to what I noticed that was different this time. Alright, for one thing is, at first I thought the funeral ceremony they showed looked a little bit scant. Not that many people, but when I looked at the archival photographs I realized there really weren't that many people showing up for the funeral. The sad part is that people were too busy getting ready for war. They kind of had to perform the ceremony as quickly as they could and get on with fighting World War II. One other thing I noticed that I didn't tap on last time was that the ship you see in this part is the Imperial Japanese battleship Yamato. It and its sister Musashi were the two largest battleships ever made. Now this scene you see a camera crew getting strafed, and this is both good and bad. Believe it or not, movie director John Ford, who was a Naval Reserve officer, was at Midway with a camera crew, and they did get shot at and strafed and almost bombed. He put cameras everywhere because he wanted to film it, and the documentary about the Battle of Midway that was made uses that footage. You can find it on YouTube. The only gripe I have, and I understand it's because the visual medium of a movie has to have everything in frame, is that the airplane did not come in low like that. The dive bombers came in at about 10,000 feet, and the level bombers came in, I think, at about 5,000 feet. Only a few of the fighters made low passes, and one of them got shot down doing it. Still, I'm glad to see that they showed the movie crew out there risking their necks to get the shot. They really did. In the actual documentary, you see a bomb go off very close to them. There was a comment that was made about the bombers in my last review, and I had to correct somebody. Somebody thought they were B-17s because there were B-17s at Midway. In fact, 15 of them took part out of Midway and another 9 took part out of Hawaii. But these are actually Japanese bombers, and I believe this is the Battle of Coral Sea because there were 38 G3M Nell bombers that were used to attack the U.S. fleet during the Battle of Coral Sea. Also, you see these same G3Ms getting blown up at what I'm pretty sure is the raid on Tulagi. Although, ironically, Tulagi was actually a seaplane base. I don't even know if it had a runway. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is the scene of the Enterprise's bombing 6 and scouting 6 under the command of Wade McCluskey, finding Kido Butai, the Japanese mobile force, the main fleet with all the aircraft carriers. Judging by the sun and the condition of the sky and the direction that they're coming from, that would be consistent with McCluskey's attack. Okay, we have, of course, Ensign George Gay, a torpedo plane pilot who survived being shot down and managed to hide from the Japanese fleet, prevent capture. He spent 30 hours in the ocean, but he did get a ringside seat to the entire battle. He would later go on to become a captain for Transworld Airlines. Here's the raid on what I'm pretty sure is Tulagi. And like I say, that was actually a seaplane base they were building. Now we go on to the attack of the USS Yorktown. Judging by the condition of the ship, I believe this is between their two bombing missions. There's 5 SBDs on the deck and 2 TBD Devastator torpedo planes. You can tell the TBDs because they have the folding wings. This would probably be the dive bomber attack. They did take a few hits, and this was crucial because the Japanese thought they sank her. But due to the excellent damage control teams the U.S. Navy had, they were able to put the fires out and get the ship back in action. So when the Japanese came and torpedoed it later, they thought they had sunk the Enterprise. Since this is TBD Devastators attacking ships by an island, that just about has to be the Tulagi raid. And they did manage to sink a few ships as one of the few bright spots for the TBD Devastator. A sadly outdated aircraft. Then we have Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell, played by Aaron Eckhart, saluting his men as probably getting ready to take off and head off for Japan on the Doolittle raid. In this next clip, we see an SBD without a bomb getting hit by Japanese 20mm cannon fire from a Zero, and it burst into flames. You can see underneath that it does not have a bomb on any of its racks, so it's probably coming back from what's called the fateful 5 minutes. In this scene, we have the dive bombers attacking the Japanese fleet, but the only problem I have here is that the ships are going in a straight line, and they would be maneuvering violently. In fact, here's some actual photographs of them doing it to avoid being hit. One thing, though, is that they do show a Japanese Zero amongst the midst, and it's actually painted the right color. I'm pretty sure they're going after Kaga because they show this SBD getting blown up in front of what I'm pretty sure is Dick Best's airplane, and he moves out of the way, and he takes his 3-plane flight and diverts over to hit Akagi. He realized everybody was going for Kaga, and Akagi, the flagship, was about to get off scot-free. Now, there's a couple of things about this scene that I really like. One is that it's properly marked. Two is you'll notice there's only about 5 fighter planes on the deck getting ready to take off. This is what Best said he saw, and that dispels the myth that the Japanese were just moments away from launching a massive counterstrike, which was a lie that was perpetrated by Fuchida for years, one of the Japanese air commanders. The 3 guys that made this run were Dick Best in charge. Kroger was on one wing and Weaver was on the other. And they got one solid hit, which most people believe came from Dick Best's airplane, and another one that hit by the rudder. Although I do believe they actually came in from the other side, but that's not the end of the world. One thing here, we have your typical Hollywood trope. Here you have the dive bomber pilot in the middle of his dive, and all of a sudden he takes time to stop and look down at a picture of his family. Trust me, these guys were too focused on what they were doing, so trope alert, trope alert. Still not bad. Then you see him pull out down low, strafing a cruiser as he makes his pull out. And yes, some of the SBDs did actually strafe the ships on their way out. Of course, most of them were busy running for their lives. Only thing I see about this that's, again, a little Hollywoody is he's getting awfully close to that ship. I'm not even sure if he'd be able to clear those stanchions and cable works. But anyway, those are just a few more things I noticed about it. One thing I'll be interested to see is how modern actors can put themselves in the positions of people that lived in a completely different time. The actors who represent these people have to put their faces and their careers on the line whenever they bring forth a character. But what makes these characters so difficult is that they were real flesh and blood people. Although I realize most of them are complete mysteries to everyone except the most hardcore history buff, they are, in fact, real people that lived, and many who died, doing what they believed in. It would be a shame if the directors and writers did not provide the actors with a sufficient framework to do justice to these heroic people. And I don't throw the word hero around lightly. I look forward to this movie, and I just pray that it lives up to my expectations. So far from what I've seen, it looks like they're really trying hard to do a good job. My best wishes. As one of my favorite YouTube channel spokesman, the history guy, likes to say, it's history that deserves to be remembered. I think it's history that deserves to be remembered well.